Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mayor Greg Fisher podcast. I am Greg Fisher. Thank you for joining us. Over the last 10 years since my first day in office here, we focused on increasing investment in West Louisville, an area of our city that has really historically been disinvested since the flood of 1937, which is kind of hard to believe. So the good news is we've got unprecedented levels of investment going on in the West, over $1 billion. The bad news is it took 80 years to do that, and $1 billion is really just a down payment on what's going to take place in West Louisville over the years. When you think about the reasons for this and the reason why we need more investment, one thing is clear to me in my years as mayor, and that is talent is equally spread throughout our community, but opportunity is not. So part of the job, I believe, of government is to put resources where they can get the best returns, where they have historically not been placed as well. And so there's huge potential in West Louisville for more investment. And of course, there's a lot of really exciting things taking place in the west end of Louisville right now as well. Sadly, Louisville's story in terms of percentage ownership of black businesses is America's story. And by that, I mean severe disproportionality. So for example, Louisville is roughly 24% black Americans. Only 2.4% of our businesses are owned by African Americans. So about 1/10 of what it should be. And you can go to almost every city in America and find that same story, plus or minus a few things. So that's not right. And so part of what we're going about doing it is working to change those sad statistics. There's a lot of historic reasons behind this lack of presence that there should be in terms of history of America, racism, institutionalized structural issues that we're going about affecting as positively as we can now here in Louisville in the year 2021. It takes time and it takes dollars, but we're going to continue to work on this throughout my time in office and hopefully future mayors as well. It's always been a priority, but we need to move at a more rapid pace, and I believe that's what we're doing now. Our new budget that we put in place on July the 1st puts even more intentionality around additional support structures for black-owned businesses in the fiscal year 2022, which starts July 1 and thereon. So to talk about more details today, I've got two great guests with me here. I'm joined by Rebecca Fleischaker, our co-chief of Louisville Forward, who leads our economic development efforts, and the Reverend Dr. Jamesetta Ferguson, who was the driving force behind one of the awesome new developments in West Louisville. So let's start with Dr. Ferguson. You recently opened the Village at West Jefferson, an extraordinary project that started off because of some of the issues that were going on with your church. So maybe kind of briefly tell us a little bit about how that all came together and how you put together this myriad of resources to put the villages together and where that's at today.
All right. Thank you for having me, Mayor. We are excited about the Village of West Jefferson. It was a project that came to reality after about 12 years, actually. I remember walking through your door about 12 years ago with this vision, but not really knowing what it would take to bring it to reality. And it has been a difficult journey because we had to convince not only those folk in government, but also business investors that this was a viable project and one that would be sustainable both financially and as far as capacity. And so it began because we were having some difficult environmental issues at our historic church. We relocated to another project about a mile down the street, Russell Plaza, and we began to envision what we were going to do with the church proper. And so instead of selling our excess land, we decided to develop it and began a partnership with the Church Building and Loan Fund, which is the financial piece of the United Church of Christ. and started the hard work. We approached Louisville Forward, we approached Louisville Metro Housing, we approached Metro Government, anybody who would listen to our story. That's who we sought an audience with. And eventually, starting in 2014, it all started to come together. We did had the architectural drawings, started to show that works, had various meetings. I could probably count 30 to 40 meetings that we had with various leaders here in Metro Louisville. And the foundation signed on, and then after they did, we were successful with getting a new market tax credit, which was very interesting process because we got one the first time, but we had 90 days to fill the gap, and we lost it because we did not have that $1 million gap filled. But we were successful finally in October of 2019 to bring all of the pieces together. We're able to successfully raise $7.8 million. And we broke ground on January 28th of 2020, and then COVID hit. Yeah. And so then there was this challenge for us as whether COVID would affect our construction timeline. And it did, but not as much as we had expected. But then we also had the social unrest in our community, and so that added another another month on to the construction time. But we were successful in completing the project. We moved in, got our certificate of occupancy in March of 2021, and we are 100% pre-leased. And most of our tenants are in the building. They're paying market rate, and so we celebrate that because that was one of the biggest issues, is whether we could get market rate for a building in the West End. And it is just a beautiful structure that is filled with resources that will benefit the residents in the Russell community.
Well, and we've known each other quite some time, and when we first spoke about this project, it's like, this is a great project, but the numbers were hard to make sense. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it took just incredible persistence and tenacity from you who you weren't a developer.
No, I was not.
But you've learned how to be a developer, and mm-hmm. the partners that you've pulled together on this, from, I guess your construction company was Cutter Construction.
We have McCormick Barron Salazar is a new market tax credit. We have the Cornerstone Fund of the United Church of Christ. We have the Episcopal Lutheran Diocese that is a partner. We also have the Disciples of Christ Mission as partners. We have the Gaines Foundation, the James Graham Brown Foundation, of course, Louisville Metro Housing and Louisville Metro. And we also have, I'm trying to think. I think I'm short.
Well, I guess the point we're both illustrating here is, I mean, to be a great entrepreneur, you can't give up, right? And
right.
And I'm sure you woke up some nights saying, "What am I doing here?"
I woke up many nights thinking that.
Right. So
yeah.
when you think about the entrepreneurs that are going to be listening to this, mm-hmm. I mean, what kind of advice would you give them?
You have to just continue to believe that your project is worth it. But also for us, it was about bringing resources into our community. So we consider our tenants and this project a missional project. And so everything that we have done was believing that it would benefit those persons or those stakeholders in our community so that they could become better, so that they could have some prosperity and have a little bit of the American dream, but also bringing Black wealth into our community. One of the things that we realized through our work with the revitalization effort was that $85 million annually was flowing outside of Russell. People have to shop, they have to buy clothes, they have to eat, and those funds were going outside of Russell, so we needed to create resources that were going to bring some of those dollars back into our community. And this project does that. We're projected to bring about $25 million back into the Russell community, but it's also about bringing living wage jobs back into the community, of which just Molo by itself, and I'm not even talking about the other tenants, we've already hired 4 Russell residents with living wage jobs. And so it's about bringing all of those opportunities and access to the people of our community so that they can have some prosperity as well.
So I'm hearing a dream, hard work, flexibility, partnerships,
Yeah,
asking questions when you don't know answers.
right, right.
I mean, I've always believed that strong people ask lots of questions.
Yes, yes. I ask lots of questions, but one of the points that you made, it's about partnership. We cannot do something like this in isolation, and it takes working with people who have those gifts and those skills to help us to do things like this. And luckily, people from Metro were willing to say yes. If we can't help you, we'll at least point you in the right direction so that there's somebody out there who will be able to help you and give you some of the answers that you need. And so for me, that's a partnership. It's not always about finances, and we love finances, but it's also about sharing those skills and those gifts so that we can have everything that we need in order to be successful.
Well, and that's, I guess, I witnessed in working with you the incredible alignment that you've built with your partners around a common mission and then common desire to get the project done.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't always see that with entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah,
It could be
yeah.
my way or the highway kind
Right.
of approach, or I don't need other people to help me succeed. The truth is nobody succeeds by themselves.
That's right. That's right.
So wonderful project
Thank
and
you.
great lessons for entrepreneurship. So we
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Well, we're looking forward to other businesses in our area, and we're looking for new partners all the time. You know, it's about us all coming together and making life better for the residents of Russell.
Okay, so there could be an entrepreneurship 2.0 from
It could be.
Dr. Ferguson. huh?
It could be. We're
Okay.
looking in that direction
Oh,
right
very
now.
nice. That's exciting. But demand certainly exceeds supply. We've seen
Yes.
that. Nobody
Yes.
opens up at 100% lease out. That's incredible.
I know that's awesome.
And she's got tenants waiting for space.
Yes,
That is unusual.
that is at market
And
rate.
good for you because
Yes.
we need more of that space.
Yes.
So Rebecca Fleischaker, you've been with Louisville Forward since its inception some 8 years ago, and you were with Metro government probably, some 15 years before that or so. So you've been seen a lot of different opportunities in the city, and bringing opportunities to West Louisville has been a real focus of yours as well. So tell us, what's the landscape look like today compared to 5 or 10 years ago, and what do you think we've learned at Metro government and what the community at large has learned?
We've learned a lot, and we've done a lot, and a lot of stuff that was not seen at first for planning purposes, writing grants for planning and development. But the conversation and being able to talk about it over the last, I would say, 7 years has really changed decisions by business owners and C-suite people, and that is changing. So we've seen a couple of businesses move into West Louisville because they want to support, they want to hire from the neighborhood, they also want to invest in the neighborhood. The Choice Grant was a huge influx of money we've seen the Beecher redevelopment, and that just has become or begotten a bunch of other things that are following that. RPOP developed out of that. And then Passport on 18th and Broadway, which is now Molina. We're going to see some movement on that pretty soon, fall probably. But it's going to take all levels. So the project that Reverend Ferguson has just opened is provided a new space, and we have needed places for retail for a long time. We know that a barrier for a very long time was that we knew people wanted to open a brick and mortar store, but there were not enough places to move in that were move-in ready. So we went on kind of a blitz. We talked to a bunch of property owners about, could you improve your property? We created a new Metco loan program around that, 2 new Metco loan programs around that. So we've been able to help a lot of your tenants. So we're here to help the actual development, so there's space for the tenants, and then for the tenants as well to be able to thrive and grow and be able to provide services. I mean, it's all about the services in the neighborhood that we want to see. And we've worked really hard. I mean, talking about it is one thing, but then trying to really dig in and make things happen. Chef Space kind of changed what happened at 18th and Muhammad Ali. I still talk to Pam Haynes on a monthly basis about Sweet Peaches. She just redid her store. It looks great. But what we're developing along 18th Street corridor too, the redevelopment of small shotgun houses into commercial opportunities will be really exciting, because you're going to create nodes, and those nodes create pedestrian activity, and that pedestrian activity begins to then just spread into more residents wanting to be in the neighborhood, jobs being created, and a whole economy right there in that space.
Right, and so for entrepreneurs thinking about, should I invest in West Louisville, and let's say Russell, we're talking about more so here today, the big picture strategy was to have a couple anchor investments that could really then lead to more investment. So on the east side is Beecher Terrace 2.0, if you will. We were competing with 62 other cities for a big choice neighborhood grant, almost $30 million. We were one of 5 cities to win that and leverage that up to about $250 million or so. So that's on the east. On the west side is the sports and learning facility with Norton sponsoring. The Urban League was the developer behind that. The city gave the first $10 million in the land. On the north side will be Waterfront Park Phase 4, it'll be a $45-50 million project. And then we've got the 18th and Broadway projects with the new YMCA there as well. Bus rapid transit coming down Broadway. Chef Space, African American Heritage Center in the middle. The Village at West Jefferson is kind of a dream of how all this could lead to this, and then more projects coming out of that. So we are seeing unprecedented investment. It's undeniable, as people have told me now, because before, frankly, what I was told was when we were making all these announcements, people would say, Mary, you're a nice guy, and we believe you, but we've been promised all this stuff before anyway. But we need to see it to believe it.
Right.
So now people see it, and they believe it, and more's coming. And so interestingly, the conversation has shifted to gentrification. And so gentrification doesn't have to be bad if it doesn't displace people.
Right.
So what we're trying to demonstrate is how do you regenerate neighborhoods without displacement so you don't lose the soul of what is the neighborhood. Any thoughts on that?
Well, one of the things, I have a lot of conversation with former residents of Beecher, and they kept saying, well, we don't want to come back because there's nothing there. We're all around Jefferson County where we have access to grocery stores and shopping centers and all of that. Why should I come back to Russell where there's nothing? And so what I say to them is, now, that's not the case any longer. Look around Russell and see the new businesses are there, and they're excited about that. And so, if we don't want gentrification, then part of that means putting resources there so that the people can have the things in Russell that they are able to get in other parts of the city.
And I tell you, one of the most satisfying things to me in the past couple of years has been to talk to some of the new Beecher residents that were old Beecher residents, and when they move back, they just really are almost speechless.
I know. And for us, we work a lot with the seniors, and we have activities at the village for them, and they come in and the space is nice, and they have an opportunity to have a meal, but to also have some socialization and fellowship with other Beecher residents, and that's exciting, to have a place where you can come and you feel safe, and you know that you're being treated special.
Yeah. Well, we've got another well-known black entrepreneur with Darnell Ferguson, one of the
Yes.
great chefs
Yes.
in the city and the country, with a concept coming into the village.
Right. We are excited about Darnell and the dripping crab. I told him I want a table right there in the restaurant when it's finished. He is due to open either the first or second week of August. And so with Russell, we have not had a lot of opportunity for family sit-down restaurants. And so I think this will either be the second or third. So we're excited about that because he'll be able to accommodate about 75 clients at a time. We also have Norton's Institute of Health Equity in our building, which will focus on physical health, mental health, and social health, and bringing mobiles in so that people can have the examinations that they need. We have the Russell Business Incubator, Dave Christopher, and AMP in our space. Right now, I think he has like 32 black and brown business entrepreneurs who are coming through our doors on a weekly basis. Molo Village, which does social work with returning citizens, senior adults. We have a youth education hub, and we also do recovery programming. We have our headquarters there. Prior to that, we were sharing space with St. Peter's United Church of Christ. We also have Metro Louisville Housing Authority there that is overseeing, as you say, Beecher Terrace 2.0. We have Park Community Credit Union, which is a big win. They moved their downtown branch to the village and is just, they have lines out the door almost every day. It has just been such a plus for our community. We also have Ohio Valley Education Cooperative, which is providing Head Start for young people. I think they have 75 slots, and what's unique for this particular branch is they take them from birth or from 6 weeks up to preschool. And then we have Starks Realty and Leverage Lease property managers there. And now we also have a pharmacy coming to the space. And so we are 100% pre-leased, and all of these are resources that will be used in our community that have been lacking. And so we're just excited.
Well, I always called you an ecclesiastical entrepreneur. I'd say now you're a for-profit missional entrepreneur as well. So that's been fun to see. And I guess, Rebecca, if there's anything we want people to take away from this podcast, is there's lots of help and support
Yes.
available. So if you'd kind of review
Yeah,
those
and
for
you've
us.
said this before, and Reverend Ferguson said it too. Don't be afraid to ask for help. So when whoever you can land on in Louisville Forward, especially the Department of Economic Development, it could be technical assistance, it could be financial resources, it could be other resources that teach you how to figure out inventory or how your kitchen should be set up in a restaurant. Or to partner, because our ecosystem is very big, and I think we're lucky about all the small business resource providers we have. But we don't want to send you hither and yon. So if you just want to come to us, you can do that. LouisvilleKY.gov/Louisville Forward or 502-574-4140.
There's about $15 million or so in this budget that went into effect on July 1st. That's a different support services available.
Yeah, we heard through last year, we heard a lot of requests for money specifically for Black and minority-owned businesses. And so we were trying to figure out, we provide help, but it's not targeted enough, and it's not enough help. So thank you to the mayor for recommending this in the budget. We are able to provide $200,000 to a brand new minority business incubator. The mayor, we stood right here last week, and Keena Stith with SKS Accounting won that RFP process. The minority business incubator is called The Well, and it will help minority businesses get started and learn how to grow and do it in a way that is make their business healthy, in a healthy way, and be sustainable. We also gave $25,000 to Black Business Association to help expand her capacity for helping Black-owned businesses. She's building out a website. She's got resources, how she can do trainings around tech as well, which is kind of exciting for us. We are hiring a new manager that will help with West Louisville, specifically a senior economic development manager, which we have been missing for a while. And just that extra boots on the ground, who knows what's going on community development wise, as well as business development wise, will be a real big help for the area. $250,000 toward our equity and procurement task force. That will be how we help minority businesses get into contracting and figure out how to answer bids.
Over the expected $5 billion plus in infrastructure over the next couple of years. So big opportunity
yes,
there.
Yes, because we know that there's opportunity for them. And our Metco, our pie grew. That is not just minority businesses, but it is for everybody. And we help about 50% minorities that come through our office. But what we want to do is make sure that we are sending them to these new resources that can help them, especially, or that we may never see because they don't trust government, they don't know about us, and we're kind of expanding our reach to find minority-owned businesses who want that help.
So that's about $1.5 million, and then another $2.7 billion on small business assistance, and then of course the big one is the $10 million for the West End. Opportunity.
There will be a lot of opportunity there. This is a new tool for the West End that I think will attract more investment, but also help a community be able to own where things happen and empower themselves for business attraction and community development in general.
Great. So I guess as we close up here, Reverend Ferguson, what kind of advice would you give folks in terms of doing homework? You know, we all hear folks that say, "I got a great idea," but it's just an idea. You need to be ready to present your idea, right?
You need a business plan, and you also need to just gather the information for the particular area. There is information out there. But once again, it's about asking questions and going to Rebecca's office and saying, what is it, information can you provide me? I'm interested in doing this type of business. But also you can come to the Russell Business Incubator, other businesses that are already established, and we really are willing to share the information, the knowledge that we have gleaned over the years. It's not about this being an individual win, it's a collective win. And so we want to share that information with you. But you have to be willing to ask the questions, but you also have to be willing to do the hard work. I've grown up knowing that if you want something, you have to work toward it. And so that means that we have to work hard, and somebody saying no to you doesn't mean that you just stop and give up. The first time we talked and you said, I'm not quite sure. But that just made me go back, do my homework, get some more information, and dig in a little bit deeper. And so that is part of the key to being successful.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I find people react to like what I consider constructive criticism two different ways. It's like, I want you to really be successful, and in order to be successful, I mean, here's some information you need to have, this, that, and the other thing. That's not telling you you're a bad person. That's not telling you I don't like it. It's telling you I like you and want you to succeed, and you're not going to succeed if you don't have this basic information. Because when you go to a bank, when you go to other folks, they're not going to take you as seriously. So doing that road work, as Ali would say, is really important. And the best entrepreneurs get energy out of that, right? It's like because it's not easy.
Yeah, but it's like, don't tell me no.
Yeah.
I got something that I have a dream, and I'm gonna do what I need to do in order to make it reality.
Well, you could get another PhD in entrepreneurship, or you could teach people an awful lot about your project was never meant to be. It's impossible to do a project like yours. Okay, but impossible is just a small word.
That's a small word, and I heard that many times. But you know, it is now a reality.
It is a reality because of persistence, because of partners along the way, constant learning, and it shows you there's almost always a path forward.
Right.
Never
Right.
give up.
Never give up.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for joining us today, James Etta Ferguson, Rebecca Fleischaker. Thanks
you,
everybody for
Rebecca.
listening to the Mayor Greg Fisher podcast, and we'll see you next time.